My beloved child, let your heart grow gentle before you rush to draw conclusions about the season you are walking through. There are things I do not reveal immediately under the light of day, not because I want you to be afraid, but because I am placing them in hidden depths so they may be formed in a lasting way. A seed does not split open on the surface of the ground before everyone's eyes. It is silently buried, silently separated from its former shape. And there in the darkness, life begins to awaken. So it is with you. The days when you thought you had been set aside are, in truth, the very days when I am renewing the roots within you. Be still and know that I am God. As Psalm 46:10 says, is not an invitation for you to remain motionless in despair, but a call for you to rest in my loving authority. When the world measures progress by noise, by visible results, by doors opening quickly, I measure it by the depth of your trust, by the tenderness of your soul, and by your ability to keep holding on to me, even when your eyes cannot yet see the whole path ahead. I know well the wounds you once hid beneath a calm smile. I have seen the times you hoped and then quietly felt disappointed again. The times you stood before an entrance that seemed meant for you, only for it to close before you could step through. I have also heard the words others spoke, whether carelessly or intentionally, words that made you shrink within yourself and wonder whether you were truly worthy of entering into something good. But my child, what people say is not a sentence over your life. A temporary circumstance is not the final word about your destiny. I have loved you with an everlasting love, as Jeremiah 31:3 says, and that love does not change because of delay, does not diminish because of tears, and does not withdraw because of the seasons when your heart grows weak. What you have passed through has not made you lose your worth before me. On the contrary, when you place it in my hands, it becomes the very material through which I shape you into a deeper vida vessel, one able to contain more grace than you ever imagined. So do not call the slow stretches of the road evidence of failure. Sometimes I slow your steps to keep you from something that is not yet ripe, from a door that appears beautiful on the outside but does not yet carry life within. Sometimes I allow you to pass through a season of waiting so you may learn to distinguish my voice from the voice of fear, learn to release what only weighs upon your shoulders, and learn to keep what truly belongs to your soul. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says that I make everything beautiful in its time. The right time is not when your heart is most impatient, but when what I give can take root within you without being carried away by the winds of pride, anxiety, or haste. I do not build what is eternal upon ground that is still shaking. I lay the foundation first, strengthen the inner place first, and only then lift you into a wider space. If you feel that you are being held back, understand that my hand is not restraining you to hinder you, but covering you and protecting you until the truly good appointed moment arrives. Remember the prophet Habakkuk, who once stood amid difficult questions and did not immediately see the answer he longed for. He brought his confusion before me, then stood at the watchtower to wait and see what I would say. And I taught him this: the vision is yet for the appointed time. If it delays, wait for it will surely come. As Habakkuk 2:3 says. Do you see? My child, I do not rebuke those who ask in faith. I only teach them to stand in the right position as ones who know how to wait with trust. Habakkuk did not immediately receive every outward change, but within him, he was brought from confusion to worship, from trembling to assurance, until he could say that though the fig tree did not blossom, though the fields yielded no food, he would still rejoice in the God of his salvation. That is the quiet miracle I am also working in you, not only changing the circumstances around you, but making your heart so steadfast that circumstances no longer have the power to steal the peace I have placed within. My beloved child, some of my promises do not come like a sudden flash of lightning, but like the dawn spreading slowly across the horizon. At first, it is only a very thin line of light, easily mistaken for the grayness of the fading night. But whoever watches patiently will see that light grow, filling the whole space and revealing the path that had been there all along. I am reconnecting the things you thought were scattered. I am using even the times you waited, even the closed doors, even the seasons when you learned silence, to prepare you for an opening that is not shallow. Romans 8:28 reminds you that all things work together for good for those who love me, and that all things does not include only radiant days, but also long nights, prayers that have not yet seemed to receive an answer, and empty spaces that taught you to lean on me more than on your own feelings. When I finish what I am doing, you will not only say, "What I hoped for has arrived," but you will also realize, "I have been transformed so that I can carry this with wisdom." Therefore, stay close to me in this season. Do not let the silence outside make you doubt the presence within. Do not let the progress of others cause you to despise the unique rhythm I have appointed for you. The olive tree does not grow in haste, but when its roots have gone deep, it stands firm through many seasons of wind. Your soul is being made the same way. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. As Isaiah 40:31 says, and that renewed strength is not only energy to run faster, but grace to stand firm, to see farther, and to not lose yourself in the days when results have not yet appeared. I am keeping my word over your life. I have not forgotten what I have planted, and I will not abandon what I have begun. For Philippians 1:6 says that he who began a good work will bring it to completion. So let your heart rest in my hands. What belongs to you will not slip beyond my grasp. When my hour comes, it will come with peace, with clarity, and with a new depth that will make you know this. Throughout the entire journey, I have always been here, my beloved child. Before you search for a great sign on the outside, let your heart return to the deepest place within, where I am still present with a gentleness that does not seek attention. There are times when you think you must hear a loud sound, see a door swing wide open, or receive unmistakable proof before you can know that I am leading you. Yet I often come to you in quietness, in a pure thought that gently touches your mind, in a sense of peace that suddenly settles over you while everything around you has not yet changed. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. As John 14:27 says, and that peace is not like the fragile calm of the world, because it does not require circumstances to be perfect in order to remain. Breathe in as one who is receiving grace. Breathe out as one who is surrendering burdens, and you will realize that I have never been far away. I am nearer to you than every fear, nearer than every unanswered question, nearer even than the thing you have quietly longed for, but have not yet dared to name. In that stillness, I am teaching you to discern what comes from me and what only brings confusion to your soul. Not every voice that rises around you is worthy of being followed. Not every urging that pushes you into haste is guidance. There are things I place on your path very gently, a person who appears at the right time to open a new direction, a small word of encouragement that revives a faith you thought had grown weak, a humble opportunity that carries within it the seed of a wider season. Do not despise those quiet signs, for my kingdom often begins like a tiny mustard seed, then grows into a place where the birds of the air may come and find shelter. If a pure thought keeps returning to you with peace, remember it. If a small door opens without requiring you to compromise the purity of your heart, pray and follow me. If an encounter lifts you up instead of pulling you down, let your heart stay awake. for I can use very ordinary things to begin something deeply sacred. Remember the story of Elijah on Mount Horeb. He had been exhausted, had fled, and had believed he was the only one left beneath a burden too heavy to bear. When he stood before me, there was a mighty wind tearing through the mountains, an earthquake shaking the ground, and a fire blazing forth, but I did not reveal myself primarily in those violent movements. Then afterward came a gentle, quiet whisper, and it was in that very soft sound that his heart recognized my presence. Do you see? My child, I do not always speak through things that astonish the world. Often, I speak through a quiet certainty that suddenly makes your soul know it has not been abandoned. Therefore, do not fear the quiet days. Do not think I am not working simply because the sky has not thundered. I may be preparing a path beneath the surface, softening the dry layers of soil within your heart, and bringing living water to the places that have long been cracked by waiting. Your season of restoration will not come like a disturbance that leaves you disoriented, but like a holy rain slowly soaking into a weary land. I am not only restoring the things you can see, I am also healing the way you see, the way you hear, the way you believe, and the way you receive. There are things that were once covered that I will bring into the light at the right time, not so that you may boast, but so that you may understand that nothing lies beyond my reach. There are delays that once wounded your heart that I will rearrange into the rhythm of grace. There are things that once seemed unclear that will gradually become plain, like dawn spreading over the mountaintop, slowly but surely. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? As Isaiah 43:19 says. That new thing is not only a new circumstance, but a new person within you, steadier, gentler, able to wait without bitterness, able to hope without panic, able to walk forward without needing to control every detail. I have not forgotten what I have planted within you. My word is not weakened by the passing of time, nor is it delayed by the noise of the world. When I speak, time must serve my purpose. When I open, no one can shut. When I prepare, no one can destroy the foundation I am laying. The Lord is faithful in all his words. As Psalm 145:13 says, so you do not need to use your own strength to force a door to move before its appointed hour. There are doors that open only when you stand in the right place of obedience, in the right rhythm of peace, in the right posture of trust. If you try to push them open with anxiety, you will grow weary before you even step inside. But if you move according to the rhythm by which I lead you, you will see what once felt heavy suddenly become light, what once seemed far suddenly draw near, and what once appeared locked suddenly open in a way you could never have produced on your own. It is not your cleverness that brings forth the miracle, but my faithfulness, quietly completing what I have begun. So today, when your heart feels slightly heavy, do not rush to call it a sign of failure. See it as an invitation to return to me. Place your hand upon your chest. Slow your breathing, and let my word warm the places that once grew cold from disappointment. I am lifting you with a hand that is both gentle and powerful. I do not hold you to imprison you, but to keep you from falling as the new season draws near. Let hope rise within you like a lamp being filled with oil. Let gratitude open your eyes to the small blessings you once passed by. Let your smile return, not because everything has already been completed before your eyes, but because you now know with certainty that the one working behind all things is your Father. When you praise me before you see the fullness, the darkness of doubt will slowly lose its power. When you give thanks while you are still waiting, the ears of your heart will hear the footsteps of the new season approaching. My beloved child, be at peace. I am here. I am leading you, and what I have prepared will come in the beauty of its appointed time. My beloved child, when I bring you near to a threshold appointed in my plan. The first thing I often do is not to make everything outside change dramatically, but to make the inside of you bright again. A gentle clarity begins to flow through your mind. The questions that were once tangled together like knotted threads are gradually loosened. The things you once viewed through fear are now seen through wisdom. That is when you realize that I do not lead you through panic, but through peace. God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. As 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, "Therefore, when order returns, when your soul is no longer pulled apart by too many voices, when you know what needs to be released, what needs to be kept, and which path must be taken, understand that my hand is rearranging the house within you before I enlarge the space around you. I do not want you to step into a new season with a heart still filled with old drawers that have not yet been cleared out. I want my light to pass through every hidden corner, touch every secret worry, and put everything back in its rightful place. There is a very unusual joy that I place in the hearts of those who are drawing near to the time of revealing. This joy is not loud like a shout of victory before a crowd, nor does it depend on whether you already hold the result in your hands. It is like the first bird beginning to sing before the sun has fully appeared. It tells your soul that the night has grown thin, even while your natural eyes still see darkness. Suddenly, you find that you can smile without needing to explain. Be courageous without forcing yourself, and hope without having complete evidence. That is the sign of a heart that has heard the rhythm of heaven. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped, therefore my heart rejoices. As Psalm 28:7 says, "Do you see, my child? True joy does not wait until everything is finished before it appears. It comes when you know with certainty that I am working, preparing, and placing the pieces exactly where they belong, even though you cannot yet see the whole picture. But, my beloved child, I also teach you that a new door is not only an invitation to step into blessing, but also an invitation to grow into maturity. What I give is not an ornament for you to display yourself, but a holy seed for you to guard through an upright life. A gift needs a clean vessel. A calling needs a disciplined heart. A great opportunity needs a person who is faithful in small things. Whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much." As Luke 16:10 says, "So value your words, and do not let your lips sow anything contrary to love. Value the quiet choices, because it is precisely where no one sees that your character is built. Live generously, but not ostentatiously. Be tender, but not weak. Be truthful, but do not wound others with a harshness that lacks love. These things are not burdens placed upon your shoulders, but fences of grace protecting what I am about to entrust to you." Remember Nehemiah, who heard that the walls of Jerusalem had been broken down, and whose heart ached as though his own home had been left desolate. He did not rush forward in haste, nor did he allow sorrow to turn into despair. He fasted, prayed, waited for the right time, and then, when I opened the way before the king, he moved with wisdom and courage. Nehemiah did not merely receive an assignment, he received the responsibility to rebuild each broken place in order. Some mocked him, others threatened him, and weary nights settled over the people. Yet he still placed one person beside another, one family beside another, each one rebuilding the section of the wall in front of them. And when the enemy tried to pull him down in order to distract him, he replied that he was doing a great work and could not come down. So it is with you. As the new season draws near, do not let small voices pull you away from what I have entrusted to you. Build the section of the wall before you, one prayer today, one faithful action today, one pure decision today, It is those small stones that become a great fortress. The words I have sown into your heart through many seasons have not been faded by time. You may have passed through long turns, through roads that seemed winding, through seasons when you wondered whether the promise was still intact. But I say to you, my word does not fall to the ground like an empty seed. The word that goes out from my mouth will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire. As Isaiah 55:11 says, the journey does not steal the promise. The journey enlarges your heart so that when the promise comes, you will not only receive it with eager hands, but also carry it with a mature soul. There are things that, had they come earlier, would have overwhelmed you, but when they come at the appointed time, they will fit your present need perfectly and also open a path for tomorrow. I do not give only so that you may be comforted. I give so that you may become a source of comfort. I do not lift you up only so that you may stand firm by yourself. I lift you up so that through your life, many others may also find hope. Therefore, open your heart before me with gratitude. Do not hold tightly to old ways simply because they are familiar. Do not keep old fears simply because you have lived with them for so long. Let my light enter the inner rooms you once locked away, the places that hold dust-covered memories, dreams that were set aside, and prayers you thought had become too late. I am continuing to write your life with a pen that does not tremble. Arise, shine, for your light has come. As Isaiah 60:1 says, today, you do not need to step into the new day with the posture of someone passively waiting for fate. Step into it as a child being led by your Father. Call this the day when I make clear what needs to be made clear. Arrange what needs to be arranged, and awaken what needs to live again. I know exactly which person needs to come, which door needs to open, and which moment needs to reveal what has been hidden. Be at peace, my beloved child. I am bringing everything into its rightful place, without haste, without error, without lack, and even in this very hour, my hand is still working on your behalf. My beloved child, let this word go deeper than every remaining doubt in your heart. I do not begin anything only to abandon it halfway. When I plant a word in your soul, that word does not drift like a fragile echo in the wind, but is placed in power, preserved in faithfulness, and covered by my eternal purpose. My word that goes out from my mouth will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire. As Isaiah 55:11 says, therefore, do not measure the promise by the delays of days and months, and do not judge what I am doing by what your natural eyes have not yet seen. In my realm, a word once spoken carries life, carries order, and carries the power to break the things that once resisted your freedom. What is coming is not merely a small comfort for one situation, but an inner change of season within you, where old boundaries lose their control, where the mind is lifted above fear, and where you begin to recognize that you are no longer imprisoned by the voices that once made you shrink back. Perhaps before, you thought you were only waiting for one specific answer, an open door, a need to be met, a sign to know where you should go. But I, the one who sees the whole path, do not merely want to solve what is in front of you and then leave you unchanged. I want to renew the way you see, the way you hear, the way you understand, and the way you walk. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As Romans 12:2 says, when your mind is renewed, even the same old circumstance no longer rules over you as it once did. What once made you panic will no longer have enough power to pull you down. What once caused you to doubt will become the very place where you remember my faithfulness. What was once dry will be touched by me, so that living water may flow again. You will realize that the greatest miracle is not only that I change what is around you, but that I make you into a different person within, freer, deeper, steadier, and with eyes more open to the things of heaven. Remember the story of Elisha and his servant. When the enemy army surrounded the city, the servant looked with natural eyes and saw only danger, saw the multitude, saw the dead end tightening around him. His heart trembled because he thought everything had come to an end. But Elisha did not see in the same way. He knew there was a reality greater than what human eyes were seeing. So he prayed, "O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see." As 2 Kings 6:17 says, "And when the servant's eyes were opened, he saw the mountain full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha." Do you see? My child, the outward circumstance did not change immediately in that moment, but the servant's perception changed. Fear lost its throne in his heart because he saw what had already been true all along, though it had been hidden from his eyes. I am doing the same for you. I am not only bringing you out of a siege, I am opening the eyes of your soul so that you may know you were never abandoned within that siege. The old chains are losing their power over you, even though they once made you believe you could not go any farther. There are doubts that have clung to you for so long that you thought they were part of who you were, but no. My beloved child, they are not your identity. There are walls of fear that were built from disappointment, wounds, delays, and the words of others, but those walls are not stronger than my light. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. As John 8:36 says, "The freedom I give is not merely escape from an outward pressure, but the freedom of your soul, no longer bowing down before the things I have already defeated. I am touching the hidden places that were once dark, the places where you hid the questions you did not dare to speak, the places where you buried dreams because you were afraid of being disappointed again. My light does not come to condemn you, but to set you free from the darkness that made you forget the beauty I placed within you. It was precisely in the seasons when you thought you were only enduring that I was quietly forging a holy strength within you. Every time you stood up again, even though your heart was weary. Every time you chose to trust me, even though you did not yet understand everything. Every time you refused to let bitterness become the final voice. I carved a new depth into your soul. You are not as weak as you once thought. You are not as empty as the dry days made you feel. Within you there is a spring I placed there long ago, and now I am calling that spring to rise. I pray that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened. As Ephesians 1:18 says, so that you may know the hope to which I have called you. Know the riches of the inheritance I have prepared for you, and know the great power that is at work in those who believe. When the eyes of your heart are enlightened, you will no longer see only what is lacking, you will begin to see the preparation. You will not only see the years of waiting, you will see the training. You will not only see the doors that closed, you will see my hand protecting you from paths that did not belong to you. Therefore, receive the new thing, not with a confused heart, but with the peace of one who knows that their Father is leading the way. I am opening a path before you, but at the same time, I am also opening within you a broader vision so that you will not step into the future with the eyes of the past. Behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. As Revelation 3:8 says, but when the door opens, I want you to walk through it with a heart that has been set free from the sound of old chains. Do not carry the fear of the previous season into the room of the new one. Do not use memories of disappointment to explain the grace that is coming. Let your certainty in me cover the questions that have not yet been fully explained. Let peace replace anxiety. Let the flow replace dryness. Let faith replace the weary arguments within. I am doing more than you have asked, deeper than you have imagined, and wider than you can grasp right now. Stand firm. My beloved child, what I have spoken remains intact. What I have begun is still moving toward completion. And what I am about to reveal will make you know that my hand has never left your life. Not even for a single moment. My beloved child, what I am preparing is not only meant to lighten your heart for a moment, nor only so that you may breathe a sigh of relief after long years of weariness. I am opening a wider movement, where what I touch within you will continue to flow through you and touch many other lives. When I light a lamp, I do not place it under a basket, but on a lampstand to give light to the whole house. As Matthew 5:16 reminds you that your light must shine before others, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Therefore, do not see the change within your heart as something small and private. Every time you are healed from fear, your family also receives a more peaceful atmosphere. Every time you choose hope instead of bitterness, those around you also see that faith is not an empty word, but a quiet yet enduring life force that can soften even the lands that have grown dry and barren. Before you see the great door open, I want you to understand that no detail in this journey is meaningless. The days that seemed like wandering in circles were not misdirection. They were my hand adjusting the rhythm, placing the right person in the right place, the right lesson in the right season, and the right preparation into the right depth of your soul. You once thought certain things arrived late, but in my timetable, grace is never late. Grace comes when you are steady enough to receive it without losing humility, mature enough to guard it without turning blessing into pride. All things work together for good for those who love God. As Romans 8:28 says, and that all things includes what you do not understand. The times you had to wait, and the doors that seemed silent. I am not piecing your life together with random fragments. I am writing with eternal wisdom. Remember Joshua and the people of Israel before the city of Jericho. Before their eyes stood a fortified city, a wall that seemed impossible to overcome by human strength. But I did not tell them to use the noise of the flesh to tear the city down. I taught them to walk in obedience, to circle the city according to the rhythm I had spoken, to remain silent when silence was needed, and to lift their voices at the appointed moment. For many days, outwardly, it seemed as though nothing was happening. The wall still stood, the stronghold remained closed, and the promise was still on the other side. But in my realm, every obedient step was shaking what their eyes could not yet see. At the appointed time, the trumpet sounded, the people shouted, and the wall collapsed. Do you see? My child, the wall did not fall because they were impatient, but because they walked according to the rhythm I commanded. In the same way, the limits that once stood before you will not remain forever when I have spoken a way open. What I am about to do will not only untie an outward knot, but also break the false conclusions you once carried about yourself. There are barriers that do not exist only in circumstances, but also in memories, in hesitation, in old words that caused you to shrink the voice of your calling. But I am leading you into a wider sky, where your soul no longer breathes through defensiveness, but through freedom, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. As Zechariah 4:9 says, therefore, you do not need to use your own strength to prove what I have already confirmed. When I open a way, what seemed to block you will lose its power. When I lift you up, the things that once held you back will no longer be strong enough to pull you back into the old place. Yet, my beloved child, remember that true blessing does not stop at the hands that receive it. I give so that you may become a stream, not a closed reservoir. I spoke to Abraham that I would bless him and make him a blessing. As in Genesis 12:2, That is also a principle I place upon many lives I touch. When I renew you, I am also preparing through you a word of encouragement for the faint-hearted, a testimony for the doubtful, and a shade of rest for those who are weary. You do not need to try to appear radiant with lofty words. The peace in the way you respond, the kindness in the way you treat others, and the endurance in the way you keep walking will speak for themselves, showing that I am alive within you. So do not call what is coming a fortunate coincidence. When the scattered pieces that have long seemed disconnected begin to find their place, when old burdens fall from your shoulders, when your soul suddenly has space to breathe, recognize my imprint. I can use an encounter, an invitation, a small change, or an opportunity that seems humble to open an entire great season. What no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor the heart of man imagined, God has prepared for those who love him. As 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, you once prayed for a way out, but I have also prepared for you a new land. You once asked for your burden to be lightened, but I also want to make you stand upright in the dignity of one who is loved, called, and sent. Therefore, stand firm in this hour with open hands and a heart no longer shrinking back in fear. I am continuing to write your story with a steady hand, one that does not tremble before delays and is not overcome by the limits you once saw. What I do will be deeper than a temporary solution, wider than a single private joy, and more beautiful than what you imagined during the nights of quiet prayer. As the new season begins to dawn, step into it with gratitude, humility, and a determination to guard the light I entrust to you. Then you will look back and understand that I did not merely bring you past a wall. I led you into an open sky, where faith has evidence, where peace has a voice, and where your life becomes a living testimony that I am the faithful one, who fulfills everything I have promised in my perfect time. My beloved child, let your heart recognize that what I am doing in this season is not only an outward change, but a holy movement in the deepest foundation of your soul. I am not only touching the things you can see with your eyes, I am also entering the quiet inner rooms, where there are dreams once covered with dust, desires that grew silent because of disappointment, and flames that once burned brightly but were left smoldering beneath the ashes by long seasons. You thought some things had closed forever, but before me, what has fallen asleep can still awaken. What has withered can still become green again. And what you once called an ending can become the place where I begin a new chapter. Behold, I make all things new. As Revelation 21:5 says, that word does not speak only of a distant future, but also touches your very today, where I am renewing the way you hope, the way you see yourself, and the way you receive the small signs of grace that are beginning to sprout. Therefore, do not be confused if a longing suddenly rises within your heart, one you thought you no longer had the strength to carry. Do not take lightly a pure thought that unexpectedly appears, a gentle direction that keeps returning to your mind, or a new dream that makes your heart both tremble and shine. Perhaps it is not merely the impulse of emotion, but my breath moving across old ground, just as I once brought Ezekiel before the valley full of dry bones, where everything before his eyes seemed to have lost every sign of life. I asked him, Son of man, can these bones live? And when my word was spoken, bone came together with bone, sinews and flesh covered them, and then breath came, causing a great army to rise. Do you see? My child, I am not afraid of the dry places within you. I do not avoid the things you believe are too late. I can call life back right in the place where you see only ruins, and I can make what seemed buried become a testimony of my restoring power. But, my beloved child, When new life begins to move, walk with a watchful heart. There are moments in life that are not simply one small choice for today, but a door opening into a different sequence of days. What you decide in this season will shape the way you enter what I am giving. Do not let old habits lead you back into a narrow land simply because it is familiar. Do not let yesterday's fear misinterpret today's invitation. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the things of the past. As Isaiah 43:18 says, not because the past is meaningless, but because you cannot cling tightly to old ashes and still receive the new fire. I am not calling you out only for you to turn back and live as though you were still bound. I am calling you into a wider space, where your heart learns to breathe in freedom, where faith no longer shrinks because of past disappointments, and where my glory is revealed through your quiet maturity. What I give you will not stop at being just enough for you to survive each day. I am the one who leads you beside green pastures and still waters. I do not only want you to be rescued from exhaustion, but also nourished so that you may become a source of strength for others. When I restore, I do not merely gather each broken piece and return you to your old shape. I use those very pieces, those very cracks, and those seasons of refining to build something deeper, stronger, and able to hold more. I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. As Joel 2:25 says, my restoration is not a cold calculation, but grace that turns what was once lost into fertile ground for a fruitful season. You asked me to heal you, but I also want to make your life a place where others can see that hope is real. You asked me to answer a hidden ache, but I am also placing in your hands a vision wider than your own need. Therefore, let your heart be enlarged. As I bring you into a new season, I am also reshaping the patterns within you, the way you think about yourself, the way you respond to difficulty, the way you use your words, the way you discern what is the voice of peace and what is the voice of fear. I do not only give you wisdom to overcome trials, but also form gentleness within you so that you will not wound others when you have become stronger. I do not only lift you up, I also teach you how to bend down in the right way to lift others. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, as Colossians 4:6 says, because in this season, the words you speak are no longer accidental sounds. When your heart is healed by me, your words can become water for the thirsty, a lamp for the lost, and an invisible hand supporting the one who is about to give up. Guard your mouth in holiness. Guard your heart in humility, so that what flows out from you carries the fragrance of life and not the shadow of old wounds. And you will see that not everyone will immediately recognize what I am doing. Some will look only at the outside and think everything is still the same. But those with eyes of faith will sense a quiet movement from heaven. They will recognize in you a new steadiness, a peace that cannot be faked, a light that does not need to display itself, yet still causes darkness to retreat. The fruit of the light is found in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. As Ephesians 5:9 says, therefore, through your renewed life, I will speak things that words alone could never fully express. Let others see me through the way you remain patient, through the way you forgive, through the way you continue to believe when you do not yet have full evidence in your hands. That is the most living testimony, a person who was once weary now standing firm in grace. So today, walk slowly but surely. Open your heart without rushing, and hope without pride. I am breathing new breath into the parts of you that you thought had passed their season, awakening dreams that have slept for a long time, and placing before you paths you once never thought you could enter. This is not a temporary disturbance. This is the movement of heaven in your life. Receive it with gratitude. Guard it with faithfulness, and share it with love. I am making the inside of you wider so that the outside of your life can go farther. I am turning what once hurt into wisdom, what once was lost into legacy, and what once was silent into testimony. Trust me, my beloved child, the old season is closing in my hands, and the new season is opening with more light, breath, vision, and abundant grace than you ever asked for. My beloved child, there are moments in life that do not come like just another ordinary day. Even though outwardly everything may still seem calm, there are moments I place before you like a delicate doorway between two seasons. Behind you is what is familiar, which once sheltered you, but has also limited you. Before you is the land I have prepared with a wisdom you cannot yet fully see. I do not call you to move in haste, but neither do I want you to remain forever in hesitation. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. As Hebrews 3:15 says, this is not the urgent pressure of fear, but the gentle invitation of grace while the door is open. I do not pull you by force, because true love does not coerce, but I remind you that there are moments of grace that require a response. Seasons that can only be entered with a willing heart. Look back, not with regret, but to recognize what has held you back for too long. Perhaps it is an old wound that has made you afraid to open your heart again. Perhaps it is the habit of living in a safe place, where everything is narrow yet so familiar that you mistook it for peace. Perhaps it is the judgmental voice of the world, words that once made you hesitate before daring to believe that I truly had something good for you. But my child, the past has no right to sit on the throne of your future. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new man. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, the old things may have taught you, refined you, and made you deeper, but they are not allowed to imprison you. I did not heal you so that you would continue living as though you were still in chains. I healed you so that you could rise with empty, lightened hands, wide enough to receive what I am now giving. Remember Esther, who was placed in the palace at a time no one expected. Outwardly, her position seemed like a personal change, but in my eyes, it was a place prepared for an hour of deliverance for her people. When danger drew near, she could have remained silent to keep herself safe, hidden behind the comfort of the palace, and allowed fear to make her ignore the call. But Mordecai reminded her that perhaps she had come to the royal position for such a time as this. As in Esther 4:14, do you see, my child, some of my invitations are not only about your comfort, but also about the lives that will be touched through your obedience. When Esther stepped beyond fear, she did not merely preserve an opportunity, she stepped into the deeper meaning of her life. So it is with you. What I am placing before you today may be far greater than your passing emotions. Therefore, do not confuse wise waiting with delay caused by fear. Waiting in me brings peace, clarity, and trust. But hesitation born of doubt often wearies your soul, leaving you standing between two shores without truly resting in either place. I want you to discern by the light of the Holy Spirit, not by the noise of old memories. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all. As James 1:5 says, ask me what is caution that comes from wisdom, and what is only fear, wearing a garment that makes it appear reasonable. When I give light, you will see clearly. There are things you need to lay down, not because they are bad, but because they have completed their role. There are familiar paths you must leave, not because they were meaningless, but because they are no longer wide enough for what I am about to do within you. I know that stepping across a new threshold can make your heart tremble. I do not take that trembling lightly. I see the part of you that still remembers past disappointments, still fears that if you hope once more, you may be hurt once more. But courage does not mean you no longer tremble. Courage means placing that trembling hand into mine and continuing to walk. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. As Joshua 1:9 says, when the people of Israel stood before the Jordan River, the waters did not part while they remained far away, merely watching. The river opened a way when the feet of the priests touched the edge of the water in obedience. Some miracles are the same. My beloved child, they are revealed when you step according to my word, not when you wait for every risk to disappear from sight. Therefore, today, I invite you to open your hands, not only to open them to receive, but also to open them to release. Release the self-condemnation that has made you feel small. Release the worry that you are not worthy enough. Release the habit of continually asking for signs while not daring to follow the signs already given. Release the comparison that makes you look at someone else's path and then doubt your own rhythm. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin that so easily entangles. And let us run with endurance the race set before us. As Hebrews 12:1 says, the road before you does not need hands tightly gripping the past. It needs a tender heart, a faith that knows how to respond, and a soul willing to let me lead it into a wider sky. When you release the old, you do not lose yourself. You rediscover the version of you I called forth from the beginning. And if questions still remain in your heart, let this answer lift you up. I am in the invitation, in the clarity, in the peace that keeps returning, even when you try to analyze everything with reason. What I am opening is not meant to confuse you, but to bring you into more abundant life. I came that they may have life, and have it abundantly. As John 10:10 says, you were not created to stand forever at the edge of the promise, looking into the new land with regretful eyes. I want you to enter it as a child who has heard the voice of their father calling their name. Choose trust instead of shrinking back, obedience instead of prolonged hesitation, light instead of the familiar room of fear. This hour bears my imprint. And when you respond with humility, you will see that what lies before you is not a fleeting opportunity, but the beginning of a new journey written by my faithful hand. My beloved child, there are moments when I do not merely whisper to comfort you, but speak to awaken the deepest part of your soul. This is such a moment. I am not calling you only so that you may feel moved for a little while and then return to the old path, but so that you may rise, recognize the light opening before you, and respond with a mature faith. Today I set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore choose life. As Deuteronomy 30:19 says, that word is not a threat, but a solemn invitation of love. I am showing you that life is not shaped only by what happens to you, but also by how you respond when grace knocks at the door. If your heart can hear my voice, do not let delay, dressed as caution, keep you standing outside what I have prepared. There are doors that open in a season, and the wise do not merely look, do not merely analyze, but know how to step in when I say, go. You have remained long enough in the land of old things. I do not say this to deny what you have endured, nor do I take lightly the memories that once made your heart shrink back. I know every wound, every time you hoped and then were disappointed, every moment you wanted to move forward but heard fear pulling you backward. But my child, the past may be a place where you learned lessons, not a prison where you must live forever. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. As Galatians 1 says, I did not free you so that you would continue calling chains safety. I did not heal you so that you would forever live as one still ruled by wounds. What is past may have taught you caution, but do not let it turn caution into suspicion, memory into a wall, and pain into your guide. Remember the 4 lepers sitting outside the gate of Samaria during the days of severe famine. They were in a place that seemed to offer no way to live. Behind them was an exhausted city. Before them was the camp of the enemy, and right beneath their feet was a question that demanded a decision. They said to one another, why are we sitting here until we die, as in 2 Kings 7:3? Do you see? My child, there are moments when simply remaining seated is also a choice. And that choice can keep a person in decay. When they rose and walked, I did what they could not do. I caused the enemy camp to hear the sound of a great army and flee, leaving behind food, goods, and life. Their steps were not perfect, but they were steps out of despair. In the same way, you do not need to understand every detail completely before you obey. When you walk according to the light I have given, you will see that I have gone before you, preparing what you could never open by your own strength. Therefore, do not let your heart remain silent when your soul needs to say yes. There is a silence born of peace, but there is also a silence born of fear. You must discern between the two. My peace makes you steady, while fear paralyzes you. Peace helps you wait for the right time, while fear causes you to miss the moment even when the hour has come. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. As Matthew 6:22 says, let the eyes of your heart be bright, so that you may recognize what is my guidance and what is merely an old shadow pretending to be wisdom. Do not let the judgments of people become the scale by which you measure my calling. Do not let past failures become a false prophecy over your future. I am the one who makes all things new, and when I call you forward, no darkness has the right to define where you will go. This hour requires from you a holy decisiveness, not a haste that lacks prayer, nor a reckless pride, but the clear response of a child who has recognized the voice of their Father. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As Psalm 119:105 says, that lamp does not always illuminate the entire long road, but it gives enough light for you to take the next step in trust. I do not ask you to create the future by yourself, nor do I tell you to break doors open by your own strength. I only invite you to follow the light that is being given. When you say yes to what I have placed in your heart, you are sowing an echo into tomorrow. One decision made in faith today can open an entirely new flow, not only for you, but also for those who will be strengthened by your obedience. My beloved child, I did not create you merely to pass through your days with a weary breath. I created you to live in fullness, to carry light, to stand firm in truth, and to enter the spiritual land I prepared for you long ago. Arise, shine, for your light has come. As Isaiah 60:1 says, so rise from the old place within your heart. Leave the room of regret, where you have often returned to count what was lost. Open the door for hope to come in, for faith to lead the way, and for truth to loosen the invisible chains. I am with you in this transition. I do not call you and then leave you alone at the crossroads. My hand will hold you, my word will guide you, and my spirit will strengthen you. Respond, my beloved child. Choose life, choose light, choose freedom, and you will see that you are not stepping into emptiness, but into a new season prepared by my faithful love. My beloved child, before you look at what you have not yet received, let me remind you to look again with different eyes at what you have sown in secret. There are seeds you planted with tears, prayers you whispered in the night when no one heard, acts of kindness you carried out and then quietly walked away from, thinking they had disappeared into the emptiness of ordinary life. But in my realm, nothing that comes from love is ever lost. God is not unjust so as to forget your work and the love you have shown. As Hebrews 6:10 says, therefore, do not think your hidden faithfulness is meaningless. I saw when you still chose what was right, even though your heart was tired. I saw when you did not answer bitterness with bitterness, when you did not allow wounds to turn you into someone hard-hearted. I saw when you continued to believe, even though the answer had not yet appeared, even though others did not understand, even though there were moments when you yourself had to lift your own heart up from the depths of doubt. There are tears you once wiped away quickly because you did not want anyone to notice. But before me, they have never been a shameful weakness. They are the voice of a soul that still knows how to love, still knows how to hope, and still knows how to seek me in the hours when no other support remains. Psalm 56:8 says that your tears are recorded in my book, as though each one is cherished and kept by me. Do you see? My child, I do not only count your radiant victories, I also acknowledge the times you stood firm when no one applauded, the times you swallowed your sorrow and still spoke kindly, the times you knelt down to pray even while your heart was trembling. The world often sees only the result, but I see the source within. The world may overlook someone who lives quietly, but I do not overlook faithfulness offered with the whole heart. Dịch từ nội dung bạn gửi. Remember Cornelius, a man who lived in reverent fear of me, prayed, and quietly did good works. Many may have seen him only as a centurion in the midst of ordinary life, but from heaven, I saw his heart. The angel told him that his prayers and his gifts to the poor had come up before me as a memorial offering. As in Acts 10:4, my beloved child, that is how heaven sees sincerity. Small things, when done with a heart of reverent love, are no longer small. A shared meal, an encouraging word, patience toward someone difficult to love, a decision to keep yourself pure when no one is watching, all of these carry a fragrance before me. And just as I opened a new door through the life of Cornelius so that many could be touched by the gospel, I can also use your hidden faithfulness as the starting point for something greater than you have ever imagined. Therefore, do not place your worth in the shifting gaze of people. Some may praise you today and forget you tomorrow. Some may judge you by a single moment without knowing the whole journey you have walked. Some may compare you by their own measure and make you feel as though you are lacking. But you were not created to live beneath such a fragile scale. God created mankind in his own image. As Genesis 1:27 says, and that very truth has placed upon you a dignity no one has the right to take away. You are not precious because you are always strong, always successful, or always recognized. You are precious because you belong to me, because my imprint is within you, because my breath has been placed in your life, and because my love called you by name before you ever knew how to prove yourself to the world. I know there were seasons when you felt hidden, like a lamp placed in a room where few people entered. You wondered whether your efforts would ever be noticed, whether your kindness had been wasted, whether your quiet faith was truly making anything meaningful. But I say to you, light does not lose its nature simply because many have not yet seen it. Salt still has value even when it is not praised. Yeast still makes the whole dough rise even as it disappears in silence. Your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. As Matthew 6:4 says, and that reward is not only an outward blessing added to your life, but also an inward growth, a heart that is not distorted by lack of recognition, a soul that remains clear and pure even after passing through many things that were hard to understand. Your holy choices are being used by me to build a lasting foundation. When you choose forgiveness, I free you from the chains of resentment. When you choose kindness, I make your heart more like mine. When you choose to keep walking, even without seeing the whole picture, I train within you the feet of a pilgrim who knows how to trust. James 1:12 says that blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because when that person has been tested, they will receive the crown of life. My beloved child, what you endure in faith is not merely the passing of time, it is a refining fire that makes true gold shine. There are parts of you that are only revealed after pressure, and I do not allow that pressure to destroy you. I use it to reveal strength, tenderness, endurance, and depth that even you did not know you carried. Now stand upright in this truth. You have not been forgotten. You are not defined by the silence of others, and your worth is not diminished by seasons when no one has yet seen the fruit. I have called you, chosen you, and preserved you for a good purpose. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. As 1 Peter 2:9 says, therefore, let the light within you continue to burn, not to display yourself, but so that many may see my kindness through your life. I will use the things you thought were small to open good paths. I will use the silent years to testify of my faithfulness. I will use you, a heart that has cried, waited, believed, and loved, as an instrument of peace in my hands. Be at rest, my beloved child. Everything you have offered with a sincere heart has touched heaven, and in my appointed hour, it will return to your life as a harvest of grace, light, and abundant blessing. My beloved child, lift your head and look at your life through the light of heaven, not through the narrow shadow of past seasons. I did not create you as a lonely sigh drifting through the stream of life, nor did I place you in the world merely to pass through the days and then disappear into forgetfulness. Your life has a place in my great symphony, and even in the passages you thought were only low notes, I have been using them to create a deeper melody, for we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand for us to walk in. As Ephesians 2:10 says, you are not a side note in my plan. You are a stroke of the pen placed by me in the right place, at the right time, for the right purpose. What I am sowing within you today is not only to fill your own heart, but also so that through you, many other souls may be refreshed, lifted up, and reminded that I am the one who still works through people who know how to trust. There are blessings I give that are not like a small cup, barely enough for one person to drink, but like a spring opening in the desert, flowing more and more until dry ground comes back to life. When I touch your life, I am also thinking of your family, those who walk beside you, and even those who will come after you, whom you cannot yet see today. The peace I place within you will become an atmosphere others can breathe. The faith I forge in you will become a lamp for someone trying to find their way through the night. The patience you learn through trials will become encouragement for someone who is close to giving up. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. As John 7:38 says, do you see, my child, I do not fill you only so that you may keep it for yourself, but so that through your life there may be a flow. A vessel truly used by me does not take pride in being full, but rejoices in being poured out in love. Remember Abraham, whom I called out from the familiar to step into a journey he could not yet see in full. When I told him that I would bless him and make him a blessing, it was not only for one lifetime, but the beginning of a flow through many generations. He had long days of waiting, silent stretches when the promise seemed distant, and moments when his aging body faced what human eyes considered impossible. But my word is not worn down by age, time, or circumstance. From one man who knew how to believe, I raised up a lineage from one promise spoken in a lonely place. I opened a history of grace, my beloved child. I can also use your quiet obedience today to lay the foundation for things tomorrow that are greater than you currently understand. Sometimes, one faithful decision of yours will become a doorway for your descendants. Sometimes one tearful prayer of yours will become a spiritual covering for those who come after you. Therefore, do not see the seasons you endured in silence as years that were lost in my hands. Sorrow is refined into wisdom. Waiting is transformed into depth. And healed wounds become places where light passes through. You once thought certain things only made you weary. But I use those very things to make you into someone who can support others with true compassion. God comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. As 2 Corinthians 1:4 says, when you speak of my faithfulness, it is no longer theory, it is a testimony soaked with tears, forged through fire, and confirmed by your life. The things you once prayed for in your own night may become guidance for someone who is now standing in theirs. I am building within you a legacy that cannot be eaten away by moths, erased by time, or devalued by the changes of the world. That legacy is not only what you leave in the hands of others, but the light you sow into their hearts, not only material things that can be counted, but faith, kindness, faithfulness, holy living, and the memory of a person who chose to trust me in days when trusting was not easy. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. As Matthew 6:20 says, you may not know everyone who is watching the way you stand firm. Everyone who is strengthened when they see you refuse to give up. Everyone who is learning to pray through your very perseverance. But I see the threads of grace stretching from your life into the lives of others, like the dawn that does not shine upon only one mountain, but slowly spreads across the entire valley. Therefore, guard what I have placed within you with gratitude and humility. Do not see yourself as so small that you are useless, nor see yourself as so great that you forget all sources flow from me. You are honored not because the world calls your name, but because I have called you with love. You are remembered not because you are always seen, but because your name is before me. You have been given a mission not to carry the burden of proving yourself, but to live as one who knows they belong to a plan greater than themselves. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. As 1 Peter 2:9 says, so walk in that dignity. Speak words that lift others up. Sow kindness. Forgive, so the cord of resentment will not be passed into tomorrow. Trust, so the flame of faith will not go out in your house. And when you see blessing begin to flow into your life, do not cover the spring with fear or selfishness. Let it pass through you in purity. Share the encouragement you have received. Give the mercy you have been given. And use the wisdom I have taught you to support those who are still weak. You do not need to do something great in the eyes of the world in order to leave an eternal mark. A timely word, an upright life, a steady faithfulness, an open hand extended in love. All of these can become seeds I use to bear fruit through many seasons. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon. As Psalm 92:12 says, that is the image of a life deeply rooted in me, not only green for itself, but also giving shade, support, and beauty to the land around it. So keep walking, my beloved child, not as one trying to prove your worth, but as one already affirmed by me. Your life is not empty. The years you have passed through are not meaningless. Your perseverance has not been buried. I am turning what you thought was silent into a song whose echo reaches farther than you imagine. From you, light will spread from your faithfulness. Hope will multiply from the blessing you receive. Many will be touched. Rejoice, because what I sow today will continue to sprout in days you have not yet seen. Be grateful, because you are standing in the long stream of my grace. Be steadfast, because I am the one who turns a small seed into a great harvest. You are part of my holy symphony, and the melody I write through your life will continue to resound, gentle yet powerful, through generations touched by my light. My beloved child, when I shine light upon a place in your life, that light is not only to comfort you, but also to reveal the things that have long been hidden behind the mist of fear. There are thoughts that once slipped into your heart as though they were the truth, but in reality, they were only shadows enlarged by weariness, disappointment, and whispers that did not come from me. There are things that made you tremble for many seasons, but when they are placed under my light, they are revealed to be shadows with no true power. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. As John 8:32 says, that truth is not merely a beautiful statement, but a gentle sword that cuts the invisible cords that have bound your mind. I no longer want you to live beneath the veil of doubt. I want you to see clearly, what once frightened you is not greater than I am. What once made you hesitate has no authority over your calling. And what once tried to cover the promise cannot stand firm before my presence. During the days when you were waiting, the adversary tried to plant a distorted story in your heart. He wanted you to believe that delay meant rejection, that your prayers had fallen into emptiness, that the hope you kept in your heart was only a lamp about to go out. But my child, do not receive that lie as the voice of destiny. I am the one who hears even the sighs that have not yet become words. I am the one who keeps every prayer you offer in the secret place. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? As Psalm 27:1 says. When I am your light, darkness cannot deliver the final verdict. When I am your salvation, no accusation has the authority to rewrite what I have spoken. Ultimate authority does not rest in the hands of circumstance, nor in the hands of those who oppose you, nor in the voice that makes you discouraged. That authority belongs to me, the one who has appointed the hour of restoration and is bringing all things back into their proper order. I know there are walls that have been built within your heart over many years. There is a brick called painful memory, a brick called shame, a brick called self-doubt, a brick placed there by rejection, failures, and seasons when you thought you no longer had the strength to begin again. But hear me when I say this, those strongholds are not your home. They may have stood there for a long time, but longevity does not make them eternal. The weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to destroy strongholds. As 2 Corinthians 10:4 says, I do not merely want you to redecorate that cramped room so it feels more comfortable. I want to tear down the walls that have caused you to live smaller than what I called you to become. I am touching the foundation of fear, stripping power away from lies, and causing old structures to lose their weight within your soul. Remember Peter in prison, guarded by soldiers, chained in the darkness of night. When it seemed as though every door was tightly shut, the church was praying, and there in the prison, I sent an angel. Light shone in the cell. The chains fell from Peter's hands, and the iron gate opened by itself before him, as Acts 12 recounts. Do you see? My child, I am not limited by the locks people place, nor am I stopped by the guards of darkness. There are times when you think you are being held in a circumstance with no way out. But I can step into the night, awaken you with light, make the chains you had grown accustomed to carrying fall away, and lead you through doors that seemed impossible to open. The wonder is that Peter walked out step by step according to my guidance. He did not break out of prison by his own strength. In the same way, the freedom I give you will be both my power and an invitation for you to rise. Put on the new garment of faith and follow me out of the old place. Therefore, do not continue agreeing with the voices that make you feel small. When they say you have no opportunity left, remember that I am the one who makes all things new. When they say you have waited too long, remember that time in my hands is never wasted. When they say you are not worthy, remember that I called you with love before you could prove anything at all. He has delivered us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of his beloved Son. As Colossians 1:13 says, you no longer belong to the dark realm of condemnation, fear, ruling sin, and gnawing self-doubt. You belong to the light. You belong to the truth. You belong to the hand that created you, redeemed you, preserved you, and is restoring you with unfailing faithfulness. Then you will feel that relief, not merely as an idea in your mind, but as a new breath within your soul. The things that once weighed heavily upon your shoulders will gradually lose their pressure. The memories that once made your heart shrink will no longer control each of your reactions. The voices that once caused you to doubt yourself will become distant, faint, and no longer allowed to sit in the place of leadership within you. If the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. As John 8:36 says, that freedom is not vague, nor is it fragile. It is truth taking shape in the way you think, in the way you stand upright, in the way you pray, and in the way you look toward tomorrow without bowing any longer before the ghosts of yesterday. So, today, let my light continue to go deeper. Do not cover the places that need healing simply because you are afraid to face them. Do not defend the old chains simply because they have become familiar. I do not reveal things in order to shame you. I reveal them in order to set you free. I do not show you the darkness so that you will be terrified. I show it to you so that you will know it no longer has the right to hide. Stand in the truth with a peaceful heart. Let my word replace every lie. Let my presence fill the empty spaces that doubt once occupied. And you will see, layer by layer, the veils fall away, wall by wall. The strongholds collapse, chain by chain. The yokes leave your soul. I am leading you out of the narrow place, not by the noise of man, but by the pure power of heaven. Breathe deeply. My beloved child, the light has come, the truth is speaking, and my freedom is expanding within you more than ever before. My beloved child, let my light shine into the places you once thought would remain forever covered by old shadows. There are things in your life that have been misunderstood for too long. Stories where others saw only the brokenness without seeing my hand quietly healing. And seasons when you saw yourself as a failure simply because you had not yet seen the fullness of the work I was doing. But today, I say to you that my truth does not change according to your emotions, does not tremble under the opinions of people, and does not lose its power because the waiting has been long. The Lord will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, and your vindication like the noonday sun. As Psalm 37:6 says, what was once covered by clouds will be brought into the light at the right time. What once made you ashamed will be touched by me and become a mark of grace. What once made you lower your head will no longer have the right to hold you in guilt, because I am calling you to rise in the dignity I placed within you from the beginning. Do not see old wounds as proof that you are weak or abandoned. In my hands, even the place that once hurt can become a window through which light passes. There are tears you once cried in the night that will become water to refresh the hearts of others when they hear how I lifted you up. There are falls you once wanted to forget that I will now turn into wisdom, so that you may know how to lift someone who is stumbling without judging them. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As 2 Corinthians 12:9 says, "Do you see, my child, I do not require you to have a spotless past before you can be used. I only need a heart willing to let me heal it, willing to let me purify it, and willing to let me turn the broken pieces into a testimony that my mercy is greater than anything that has ever wounded you." Remember Gideon, who once hid in the winepress because he feared the Midianites. In his own eyes, he was small, lacking strength, lacking position, lacking everything needed to become a deliverer. But when my angel came to him, the first word of calling was not based on the condition of his fear, but on what I saw within him. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. As Judges 6:12 says, "My beloved child, that is how I call you. I do not call you by the name of your fear. I do not define you by the room where you once hid. I do not see you according to the self-doubt you have repeated for so long. I see the seed of courage before you feel courageous. I see the overcomer before you understand that you can rise. And when I call, my word begins to awaken within you what had been buried beneath many layers of disappointment. Therefore, do not continue living like someone standing outside the margins of the light. You are not one who has been excluded from the table of grace. You are not a faint shadow outside my plan. I have clothed you with a new dignity, one not given by the world and therefore one the world cannot take away. He has clothed me with garments of salvation and covered me with a robe of righteousness. As Isaiah 61:10 says, "That garment is not for you to become arrogant, but for you to remember that you have been covered by mercy. The crown I place upon you is not so that you may stand higher than others, but so that you no longer bow your head before false accusations. The sword I give you is the living word, sharper than any double-edged sword." As Hebrews 4:12 says, "So that you may discern truth from lies, light from darkness, my voice from the voice of fear." When you take hold of those spiritual instruments, you will understand that your battle is not only a battle for your own heart to be relieved. Every time you choose faith instead of doubt, a new path is open for those who come after you to know that faith can stand firm in the midst of trials. Every time you choose integrity when no one is watching, you are placing a bright stone on the path of the next generation. Every prayer you offer in sincerity does not vanish into empty space, but becomes a fragrance before me, and also an arrow of light piercing through dark places. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. As James 5:16 says, "You may not immediately see the heavens move, but in my realm, those prayers are opening the way, breaking invisible chains, and sowing seeds for harvests that one day you will be amazed to recognize. Do not be afraid to walk in this new freedom. The freedom I give is not lawlessness, but the ability to live according to the truth I have spoken over your life. Before, perhaps you reacted from wounds, made decisions from fear, remained silent because of shame, or stepped back because you thought you were not enough. But now I am teaching you to stand firm with a renewed mind. Stand firm. Then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place. As Ephesians 6:14 says, "Truth will keep you from being swept away by lies. Righteousness will protect your heart from bitterness. Faith will extinguish the flaming arrows of the enemy. And my word in your mouth will not only be a word of comfort, but a word that builds, a word that liberates, a word that awakens hope in those who are weary. Now, look back on your journey with gratitude. The things that once hurt you are no longer chains if they have been placed in my hands. The things that once caused you to fall are no longer a final ending if, through them, you learn to rise again in grace. The years that seem to have been swallowed up are no longer empty spaces if I have used them to deepen your roots in love. You are one who has been called into the ranks of light, not because you have never been weak, but because I have placed my hand upon you and declared that your life still has purpose. Keep walking. My beloved child, put on the dignity I have given you. Hold firmly to my word. Let every righteous decision, every prayer, every act of love become a stream of light going before you. I am turning your story into a living testimony, and from the victory I work within you, many others will also find their way back to hope, freedom, and life. My beloved child, let this truth settle deeply into the innermost place of your soul, what I have decided in love and power. No force can erase. Darkness may make noise, may raise images that cause your heart to waver, may whisper that you will go no farther, that the promise has weakened, that the door has closed. But darkness has no throne, no final seal of authority, no ability to destroy what has been established in my will. If God is for us, who can be against us? As Romans 8:31 says, remember this, the adversary can only threaten within the limits permitted to him. But I am the one who holds every boundary in my hands. He may weary you with sighs, but he cannot extinguish the breath of life I have placed within you. He may make you see the fence, but he cannot stop me from opening a way in the wilderness. He may remind you of the old land, but he cannot force you to return if you place your hand in mine and keep walking. I am not only pulling you out of what wounded you, but also calling you into what makes you truly alive. There are chains that have already fallen from your soul before you even realized they no longer had power. There are doors I have opened by my faithfulness, while you still stand there with the habits of someone who was once imprisoned, not yet daring to believe that you are truly free. But today I call your name again, not with a voice of rebuke, but with the voice of a father who knows how long you have been tired. Come out. Bring my soul out of prison, that I may praise your name. As Psalm 142:7 says, you were not created to remain forever in the cramped room of disappointment. I have prepared for you green pastures, still waters, and a wide open sky where your soul can breathe without fear. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. As Psalm 23:2-3 says, this is not only a word of comfort, but the map of restoration into which I am leading you. Remember Lazarus, who had lain in the tomb for 4 days, when everyone around him thought the story had ended and the smell of death had become undeniable proof. Some wept because of love, some grieved because they thought I had come too late, and some could only see the stone before the tomb as a final period. But I stood before that place and said, Lazarus, come out, as John 11:43 says. My word pierced through darkness, through human helplessness, through every hasty conclusion of sorrow. The man wrapped in burial cloths came out, and I commanded them to remove the cloths so he could be free. My beloved child, it is the same with you. There are parts of you that others once considered buried, dreams that were once wrapped tightly in disappointment, and abilities that were once bound by fear. But when I call, what seemed dead must hear the voice of life. When I speak, the old grave clothes must be removed. When I stand before the tomb of the past, no stone can hold back what I have commanded to live. Therefore, Do not turn back and look behind you with the eyes of someone who still owes darkness an explanation. You do not need to negotiate with chains that have already been broken. You do not need to ask fear for permission to enter peace. You do not need to prove to the voices that once rejected you that I have called you mine. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. As 1 Thessalonians 5:24 says, "What I am doing is not only removing a burden from your shoulders. I am lifting your eyes so you can see that deliverance always comes with ascending. You are not set free merely to sit still in a new place of safety. You are set free to walk in the light, so that your words may carry life, your presence may bring peace, and your life may become a sign that grace can restore what once seemed impossible to restore. Let holy joy return to your lips, not a shallow joy because every question has already been explained, but the joy of one who knows their Father has already won before the battle is fully visible. The joy of the Lord is your strength." As Nehemiah 8:10 says, "When you rejoice in me, darkness loses an entrance. When you give thanks, bitterness no longer has a place to pitch its tent within your heart. When you praise in the middle of the journey, you are declaring that circumstances are no longer the master of your soul. Smile, my beloved child, not to hide the old pain, but to testify that the pain no longer rules over you. Breathe deeply, not as one still waiting for punishment, but as one who has been led out of the dry land and is now stepping onto ground where living water overflows. But in that freedom, I also place in your hands the responsibility of light. You do not merely step out of darkness, you are called to become a lamp for those still struggling in the night. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 says, that light does not need to display itself, does not need to be noisy, and does not need to exalt itself. It shines through your integrity, through the way you forgive, through the way you no longer answer wounds with wounds, through the way you keep your heart tender even after life has hurt you. Every time you choose trust instead of doubt, you are opening a path of light for others to see. Every time you keep walking instead of retreating into the old place, you are leaving footprints for those who come after you to know that freedom is real. So stand firm in this new day. Do not let the past call you by old names. Do not let the adversary whisper in your ear that the door I opened is only an illusion. What I have opened, no one can shut. Whom I have called, no one can erase from my heart. And when I have placed the breath of life within you, no darkness can extinguish it. Look forward with eyes washed clean by my word. Walk as one who has been redeemed, restored, and sent. Your freedom is not a distant promise. It is taking shape in every decision, every breath, every prayer, and every obedient step. I am leading you out of the narrow place into a wide open sky, not only so your heart may be relieved, but so you may become a witness of the light. Go forward, my beloved child. I am before you to open the way, beside you to uphold you, within you to give life, and behind you to turn even the old journey into a testimony that my power is always greater than every darkness that ever rose against you. My beloved child, let your heart stand firm in this truth. The victory I place in your life does not come from your own strength, skill, or ability to withstand every storm by yourself, but from me, the one who had already overcome before you ever entered the battle. You do not need to live as one still weighed down by darkness, nor bow your head before the voices that once made your soul feel small, nor continue carrying the posture of someone merely trying to survive. But thanks be to God, who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. As 1 Corinthians 15:57 says, therefore, from today on, change the posture within your heart. Walk as one whom I have called out of the long night. as one who knows they belong to the light, as one who carries in their heart a seal that cannot be erased by the threats of circumstance. Your honor is not in the hands of those who once misunderstood you, nor in the seasons when you thought you had been forgotten. That honor is restored in me, where no hand can steal it away. Perhaps you have grown accustomed to living with the feeling that you must keep fighting, keep protecting yourself, keep fearing that anything good that has just arrived will be taken away again. But I say to you, let that defensiveness come down. What I do is not fragile like a leaf before the wind. When I open a new reality, I do not do it out of impulse, but by the enduring power of the one who keeps covenant. In all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. As Romans 8:37 says, you are not only escaping what once oppressed you, you are being lifted up to see your life with a different vision. The marks of battle are no longer signs of defeat, but evidence that I preserved you through the place of fire. The days when you thought you were about to collapse will now tell another story. I was there. I held you up, and I did not allow darkness to have the final word. Remember King Jehoshaphat when the people of Judah were surrounded by a vast army. Before their eyes was a danger too great, human strength too small, and every natural calculation insufficient. But that king did not begin with panic. He turned back to me, fasted, prayed, and confessed that their eyes were upon me because they did not know what to do. Then my word came through the prophet, the battle is not yours, but God's. As 2 Chronicles 20:15 says, do you see, my child, there are victories that are not opened by the sword of man, but by surrender, praise, and obedience. When the people lifted their voices in praise before seeing the result, I caused the enemy to collapse against itself. The place that had once been a valley of fear became a valley of blessing. In the same way, what you are stepping into is not only the end of a burden, but a divine reversal. The place that once threatened you will become the place where you come to know my faithfulness more deeply. Therefore, do not let the old darkness continue renting space in your thoughts. It has lost the right to stand on the ground I have redeemed. It may try to replay painful memories, but those memories are no longer permitted to govern your future. It may try to bring accusations, but my word is the final verdict over your life. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. As Isaiah 54:17 says, take hold of that word not as a passing comfort, but as a shield for your mind. When fear returns and knocks at the door, do not open it out of familiarity. When doubt whispers that this victory will not last, answer it with truth. I am the one who began the work, and I am also the one who will complete it. Light does not ask darkness for permission to shine. Light only needs to be present, and darkness must retreat. Then others will see that change in you, not only through the words you speak, but through the way you live. They will recognize peace in your responses, freedom in your eyes, and steadiness in your steps. Some who once witnessed you in your weary season will see me restore you with a beauty that cannot be imitated. Some who once thought your story had ended will quietly have to recognize that my hand has continued writing what they could not foresee. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. As Psalm 118:23 says, you do not need to lift yourself up to prove anything. Your renewed life will speak for itself. Gentleness no longer crushed. Joy no longer covered. Faith no longer trembling before every opposing wind. All of this will testify that I am the one who turns ashes into beauty and the long night into dawn. But the victory I place within you is not meant for you to keep only in the private room of your own heart. When I restore a person, I often open a flow that touches many others. The peace you receive will spread into the way you love your family. The faith you hold will become a flame that warms those whose hearts have grown cold. The healing I work in you will make your words softer, deeper, and more able to lift others up. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. That person will be like a tree planted by the water, sending out its roots by the stream. As Jeremiah 17:7-8 says, a tree with deep roots does not live for itself alone. It gives shade, holds the soil, bears fruit, and becomes a sign that there is water in that place. So it is with you. When you stand firm in me, those around you will find courage to stand firm. When you step into freedom, you leave footprints for those who come after you to know that chains can break, darkness can dissolve, and my promise is worth waiting for. Understand that what I give today carries the depth of legacy. It does not end with a temporary joy, nor is it meant only to solve an immediate need. I am placing in your life a stream of grace that can flow through generations, through communities, and through the souls you will touch with love and faithfulness. The prayers you once offered in secret will still echo in rooms you have not yet entered. The righteous decisions you make today will become the foundation for tomorrow's wisdom. The victories within you will open a way for others to believe that they too can be healed. I do not give abundance so that you may close it off, but so that you may become a vessel that overflows with humility and purity. So go forward, my beloved child, with a heart that has been affirmed and eyes fixed on the light. Do not live like someone still asking the past for permission to rejoice. Do not let the darkness that has already lost the battle continue to control your voice, your posture, or your hope. I have placed in your hands a portion of victory that cannot be reversed by passing emotions or old lies. Live as one who belongs to life. Speak as one who has been raised up by my word. Love as one who has received mercy. Walk as one who knows that what lies ahead is not only a path for yourself, but a pathway of light for many others. I am the Lord of life, the one who keeps every promise, the one who does not allow darkness to triumph over what I have redeemed. And from today on, each step you take will become a quiet yet powerful testimony that my light has risen, restoration has begun to flow, and my grace will continue to spread farther than you have ever asked or imagined. My beloved child, when I renew you, I am not merely doing a hidden work in one heart and then allowing that light to stop with you like a lamp placed in the corner of a room. What I do within you will echo farther than you imagine. A soul set free will change the atmosphere around it. A healed heart will make others feel safer when they draw near. A life once weighed down by darkness, but now walking in peace, will become a sign that my power is not an ancient story, but living power at work today. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 says, therefore, do not see your restoration as something small. When you are lifted up, someone else is seeing hope rise within their own heart. When you learn to live free, someone else begins to believe that their chains can also fall. When you no longer respond from old wounds, but from the kindness I have placed within you, those around you will touch a fragrance that does not belong to this world. There are witnesses who do not need to stand on a high platform, do not need resounding words, and do not need to be named before a crowd. A transformed life itself is the deepest sermon. I am writing upon you with the ink of grace, in the way you forgive when you could have held resentment, in the way you choose to speak words that lift others up when words once wounded you, in the way you continue to believe when old seasons once made you want to let go. You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. As 2 Corinthians 3:3 says, do you see, my child, I do not place testimony only upon your lips. I place it in your walk, in your eyes, in your patience, in the way you face adversity without allowing adversity to deform your soul. Those who are longing for truth will read in you a quiet answer, that I still heal. still uphold, still deliver, and still make new what people thought had grown worn and old. Remember the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well. She came to draw water at an empty hour, carrying within her many layers of shame, many stories that were not easy to tell, and many empty spaces that the water of this world could not fill. But when she met me, she did not only receive a private word of comfort for her soul, she was touched by the fountain of living water, and from that encounter, an entire town was awakened. She left her water jar behind, returned, and told the people about the one who knew everything about her and still did not reject her. And many came, heard, and believed. My beloved child, that is how grace spreads. A heart touched by me can become a doorway through which many other hearts enter the light. Her past was no longer a lock imprisoning her in shame. It became the place where my mercy was revealed. In the same way, what I have done in you is not only for you to quietly keep to yourself, but so that through you, many may be invited to draw near to the water that never runs dry. And what I am building goes beyond even the people currently around you. There are spiritual seeds you sow today through prayer, faithfulness, and a righteous decision that may seem small, yet they will continue to grow in seasons you have not yet entered. You may not know everyone who will be nourished by the shade of the tree of faith you are tending today, but I see the hidden streams beneath the ground, where roots seek water before branches, and leaves appear before human eyes. The righteous who walk in integrity, blessed are their children after them. As Proverbs 20:7 says, that blessing is not only wealth that can be held in the hand, but a holy inheritance, a way of life that reveres me, a memory of kindness, a tradition of prayer, a flame of trust passed from one heart to another. Do not think that only things great in the eyes of people have the power to influence generations. I often use what is hidden to nourish what is great. I use the prayer of a mother, the tears of a father, the perseverance of someone who refuses to give up, the humility of a soul that knows how to return to me. Look at Timothy, whom Paul reminded that sincere faith first lived in his grandmother Lois and his mother Eunice before it was seen in him. As in 2 Timothy 1:5, a flame preserved within a family became strength for a young man to step into greater service. Do you see? My child, there are legacies not written on stone tablets, but written in the Spirit. There are treasures not stored in earthly vaults, but burning on in the hearts of children, in the people you have lifted up, and in the community once encouraged by your faithfulness. Therefore, be careful with what I have placed within you, not with tense fear of losing it, but with deep gratitude. A healed life can become a refuge for someone who is breaking. A word you speak in gentleness can keep a soul from despair. A decision to live with integrity can reset the standard for those who are watching. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. As Galatians 6:9 says, that harvest may not come immediately in the form you expected, but no seed sown in me with love ever becomes useless. One day, you will see someone standing stronger because they once heard your testimony. One day, you will see a family softened because you chose peace. One day, you will realize that a quiet prayer traveled farther than your feet could ever walk. I am making your life into a flowing spring, not a sealed vessel. Blessing will pass through you in many ways, through hands that know how to help, through words that know how to heal, through a presence that knows how to bring peace, through a life no longer ruled by the old things. I will make you a blessing. As I spoke to Abraham in Genesis 12:2, that is the principle of my kingdom. What is truly given will multiply when it is poured out in love. You do not need to force yourself to become perfect before you can influence others. Simply remain in me, so that my life may flow within you. For the branch does not produce fruit by itself, but bears fruit when it remains connected to the vine. Rejoice, my beloved child, because the restoration I am working within you has the width of community and the depth of generations. It will be measured not only by what you receive, but by the souls strengthened, the families warmed, the young people whose eyes are opened, and the weary hearts reminded that light still remains. Your life is not a small stream lost in dry ground in my hands. It becomes a spring directed to the right place, the right people, and the right season. Keep the fire of faith. Live with kindness. Let your testimony remain pure. Let what I have done in you continue to flow outward. Because from today's faithfulness, I can build tomorrow's harvest. And when many are touched by that light, they will not glorify you as the source, but will recognize me as the living one, the one who has made a restored life become a river of grace for many other lives. My beloved child, understand that the season of restoration I am opening is not a passing breeze I meant only to comfort you for a moment, but a flow with direction, purpose, depth, and responsibility. When I heal you, I am also placing within you the capacity to become a place of healing for others. When I lift you up, I am also setting a path beneath your feet so that those who come after you may see that grace is real. Hope is real, and my hand has never stopped working. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. As Matthew 5:14 says, that light does not shine only for the private room of your own heart, but spreads over those who live near you, over your family, over your community, and over generations that will learn from your faithfulness today. Therefore, do not see a gentle word as small. Do not see a righteous decision as invisible. And do not see a quiet act of love as insignificant. In my hands, a small seed can become the shade of a tree where many find shelter from the heat. I want you to step into the new season with an open heart, but not with recklessness, with great joy, but not without watchfulness. The blessing I give is not for you to hide away like a treasure meant only to adorn yourself. It is like a key entrusted to the hand of a faithful steward, to open the doors that need to be opened, to guard what needs to be guarded, and to lead those who need guidance closer to the light. Who then is the faithful and wise steward, as Luke 12:42 reminds you? For what is entrusted always comes with watchfulness. You are not only one who receives, you are one who is sent in gentleness. You are not only one rescued from dry lands, you are one who carries water to other lands that are thirsty. Therefore, let your inner maturity grow together with the outward blessing. If I enlarge your territory while your heart has not yet learned restraint, you will become weary. If I fill the vessel while that vessel has not been cleansed, the water may become clouded. But when your heart is humble, watchful, and obedient, blessing will flow through you like a clear stream, not making you arrogant, but bringing life to many. Remember Joseph, who passed through the pit, the house of slavery, and the prison before being placed in a position of governance in Egypt. I did not raise him up merely to compensate him for his own pain. I placed within him the wisdom to understand dreams, the discipline to store up grain, the patience to govern during the years of abundance, and the forgiveness not to use his new authority to take revenge on those who had wounded him. When the famine came, the food preserved by his faithful hands sustained not only Egypt, but also his family and many other nations. Do you see, my child? There are seasons when I train you in secret in order to prepare you for a wider service. The years you thought were delays may be the very storehouse of wisdom I was building within you. The trials you thought only wounded you may become the capacity that helps you discern, manage, forgive, and lead. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. As Genesis 50:20 says, that is how I transform pain surrendered to me into a source of life for many. Therefore, be careful with every brick you lay down today. A word you speak may become a memory that strengthens a child on the day they feel weak. One honest choice of yours may become a quiet standard for a family. One time you choose to pray instead of complain may open a new atmosphere in the home. One time you know how to remain silent at the right moment may prevent the fire of conflict from flaring up. One word spoken at the right time may save a soul from despair. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt. As Colossians 4:6 says, because words do not simply pass by and disappear, they sow seeds in the hearts of those who hear them. Let your mouth become a spring of water, not a blade. Let your presence bring peace, not unrest. Let the restoration I am working in you become a bridge, so that those who come after you do not have to remain trapped in the same depths through which I have carried you. I do not require you to live tensely in fear of doing everything wrong, but I invite you to live watchfully in love. There is a difference between the burden of proving yourself and the responsibility of one who is loved. You do not preserve grace by your own strength, but you do need to cooperate with grace through obedience. When blessing flows in, ask me what needs to be sown, what needs to be kept, what needs to be shared, and what needs to be laid down. Not every desire comes from heaven, and not every door that shines outwardly leads to life within. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. As Proverbs 3:5-6 says, the wisdom I give will teach you when to move forward, when to wait, when to speak a strong word, and when to keep your heart in quietness. That is spiritual discipline, not doing everything you are able to do, but doing what I lead you to do, not saying everything you know, but saying what brings life, not keeping everything you receive, but giving the right portion, at the right time, in the right spirit. My beloved child, grace does not make you shallow, grace makes you steadfast. Blessing does not only make you joyful, blessing shapes you into someone who can carry greater things without losing humility. Just as rain-soaked soil needs deep roots to hold water, your heart also needs prayer. My word, integrity, and gratitude to hold what I am pouring out. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. As Proverbs 4:23 says, if your heart is kept pure, the flow from you will be pure. If your heart is anchored in me, the season of abundance will not sweep you away from me, but will draw you closer to me. Let restoration become a foundation, not a passing moment. Let abundance become responsibility, not wastefulness. Let freedom become a life ordered by holy purpose, not a path without direction. So continue walking with the dignity of one whom I have restored, and with the humility of one to whom I have entrusted something sacred. From today on, you do not live only for the emotions of the present, but for the legacy being formed through every decision. I am writing through you a story that others will read through your very life, that the healed can become healers, that those once lifted up can lift others, that those who once received light can become a lamp on the road for many souls. From everyone who has been given much, much will be required. As Luke 12:48 says, but do not fear that word, receive it as confirmation that I trust what I have placed within you. I will not entrust without sustaining, send without accompanying, or open a door without giving you wisdom to walk through it. Keep your heart faithful. Steward, blessing with love, and sow today with clean hands and a grateful heart. What I do in you will not stop with you. it will become a path, a spring of water, a flamme, a spiritual legacy that continues to echo through generations touched by the light I have placed in your life. My beloved child, let me place within you a clear understanding. Spiritual maturity is not a heavy yoke forcing you to become perfect before me, but a wide open sky of freedom where you no longer live to prove your worth. When you are still immature, you are easily pulled by praise, criticism, the gaze of others, and outward changes. But as you grow in me, you begin to stand firm in what I have spoken over you. The truth will set you free. As John 8:32 says, and part of that freedom is knowing that you do not need to chase the world's recognition in order to be at peace. I have called you my child. I have placed dignity upon you. I have affirmed your worth with an unchanging love. Therefore, you do not need to let every sound out there determine the peace within your heart. Anchor your mind in me. Like a boat anchored to the rock amid the waves, your eyes may not yet see the whole road, but your hand is in mine, and that is enough for you to walk steadily. I am preparing you not so that you will fear responsibility, but so that you may carry what I entrust to you with holy joy. There are promises that require a mature heart to guard them. There are blessings that require a disciplined soul, so they will not be wasted. There are doors that open, yet only those who are watchful can walk through them without losing themselves. From everyone who has been given much, much will be required. As Luke 12:48 says, but do not hear that sentence as a cold judgment. Hear it as confirmation that I trust what I have placed within you. I do not place a precious seed in your hands for it to remain dry in your palm. I give it so that you may know how to sow in the right season. Water it with prayer, protect it with wisdom, and wait with faith. Everything I place in your life carries life within it, and when you care for it faithfully, it will bear fruit far beyond anything you once imagined. Remember the servant entrusted with the talents in the story I told. The master did not entrust wealth to them so they could boast about how much they had, nor did he entrust it so they would bury it in the ground out of fear. The faithful servant took what had been entrusted to him and made it increase. And when the master returned, he was called a good and faithful servant. As in Matthew 25:21. Do you see, my child, what I seek is not display, but faithfulness. Some people are so afraid of losing what they have been given that they never dare to use it. Some are so afraid of making mistakes that they bury their gifts. Some are so afraid of being judged that they never step into their portion. But my beloved child, fear is not a safe box for blessing. What I give must be put into motion through love, prayer, and obedience. When you use what I have placed in your hands to serve, uplift, and glorify me, you do not diminish the blessing. You cause it to multiply according to the law of my kingdom. Therefore, rise in the posture of a child who has matured in faith. Do not let today's emotions lift you high and then tomorrow throw you low. Emotions can change like clouds in the sky, but my word stands forever. The word of the Lord remains forever. As 1 Peter 1:25 says, you may feel strong or weak, clear or uncertain, encouraged or tested, but truth does not change according to feeling. As you mature, you learn to let truth lead you instead of allowing mood to take the wheel. You no longer run after short-lived applause, because you know my approval is more precious than every reputation. You no longer pray only for your own life to become easier, but begin to long for your family, your community, and those around you to be touched by the light as well. That is the sign of growth, when your prayers become wider than your own concerns, when your heart no longer asks only, what will I receive, but asks, whom do you want me to become a blessing to? Dịch từ nội dung bạn gửi. In this new season, I want you to live watchfully, like one who keeps a lamp burning in the night. Not watchfully, with tension, always afraid of missing something, but with a soul that is bright, tender, and sensitive to the breath of my spirit. Remember the wise virgins in Matthew 25. They did not only have lamps, but also prepared oil. The outward lamp may allow others to see the form, but the oil within is what keeps the light from going out when the night grows long. So it is with you. Do not keep only the appearance of faith while forgetting the hidden oil of my presence. Let prayer soften your heart each day. Let my word realign your thoughts before the world disturbs them. Let gratitude keep you from bitterness. Let worship renew your strength while the journey is not yet finished. I am also training your spiritual senses. I am teaching your eyes to see the opportunity hidden inside trials, to see the lesson within delay, to see the seed of hope in places that seem barren. I am teaching your ears to distinguish my voice from the voice of haste, the voice of peace from the voice of anxiety, the voice of wisdom from the voice of pride. My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. As John 10:27 says, my voice is not always loud, but it brings clarity. My voice does not always satisfy what you want immediately, but it leads you to life. I am also training your hands not to delay when the hour for action has come, not to hold back when it is time to give, and not to release what I have told you to care for. Maturity is knowing how to wait when I say wait, but also knowing how to step forward when I say step. My beloved child, guard yourself from empty things that dim the lamp within your heart. Not everything attractive comes from me. Not every shining opportunity carries life, and not every word of praise is confirmation from heaven. Learn to discern, test everything, hold fast to what is good. As 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, there are things that are not evil, but they do not belong to your season. There are invitations that are not wrong, but they will pull you away from your center. There are passing desires that carry the appearance of success, but have no root in my will. Therefore, do not ask only whether something can be done. Ask whether it draws you closer to me. Do not ask only whether a door is open. Ask whether my peace is within that door. Do not look only at the fruit before your eyes. Look also at the roots within. So today, walk in the noble freedom of one who has been loved, taught, and entrusted. I do not call you into maturity to take away your joy. I call you into it so your joy may have deeper roots. I do not place responsibility upon you to weigh down your shoulders. I place it there so your life may carry a meaning greater than yourself. Care for the vineyard I have entrusted to you, the relationships that need to be loved, the gifts that need to be trained, the opportunities that need to be stewarded, the words that need to be purified, and the dreams that need to be tested in the light. Keep your lamp burning bright. Keep your heart pure. Keep your ears open to my voice. And keep your hands ready for what is good. When you live this way, you will not only enter the new season, you will be able to preserve the new season. And from that quiet maturity, I will make your life become a fruitful garden, where many may rest beneath its shade, taste the sweetness of grace, and recognize that I am the one who has made everything beautiful in its proper time. My beloved child, let your heart stop trembling before what natural eyes have not yet seen, because the word I have spoken over your life has not weakened with the passing years. There are things I planted in your soul long ago, and because they did not bloom at the time you expected, you once wondered whether they had been buried, whether the opportunity had passed, whether the promise had been only a brief ray of light that appeared and then disappeared into the mist of time. But I say to you, what comes from me does not die in winter. A seed lies beneath the ground, not because it has been forgotten, but because it is being protected from the cold. quietly splitting open, preparing its life for the day when the sun calls it to rise. The vision is yet for the appointed time. If it delays, wait for it will surely come, it will not delay. As Habakkuk 2:3 says, do not call hiddenness failure. Do not call waiting rejection. Do not call my silence proof that I have turned away. In the deepest hidden place, I am still preserving what I have promised. And when its season comes, no hand will be able to keep it in the ground any longer. I know the voices that once surrounded you. One voice told you that you had waited too long, so it no longer belonged to you. Another whispered that others had gone ahead, that the good portion had already been given away, and that you were left only with the fragments of what you once hoped for. But, my child, do not let the adversary rewrite my word with the ink of doubt. What I have appointed for you is not protected by favorable circumstances, nor is it preserved by human recognition. It is kept in my eternal will. The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. As Romans 11:29 says, if I have placed a portion of my plan for you, no competition can steal it, no delay can make it decay, and no misunderstanding can erase your name from what I have written. You do not need to compete through anxiety. You do not need to prove yourself through exhaustion. You only need to remain in me. Keep your heart faithful, and let me bring what belongs to you into the light at the appointed time. Remember Sarah, who heard the promise of a child when her body had already passed the age of childbearing, and time seemed to have closed every natural possibility. As the years passed, that promise seemed farther away, harder to believe, and more beyond human limits. But I do not measure my word by the age of the body or by the reasonableness of circumstances. When my appointed hour came, Isaac was born, and the name of that child carried with it restored laughter. Is anything too hard for the Lord? As Genesis 18:14 says. Do you see? My child, I do not need circumstances to still be young, strong, or easy in order to fulfill my word. Sometimes I allow every natural possibility to fall silent so that when what I have spoken is revealed, no one can say it was merely luck or human arrangement. In the very place that seems latest, I can cause the holiest laughter to resound. Therefore, do not let your natural eyes lead your soul into confusion. Natural eyes see only winter, but faith sees that the roots are still alive. Natural eyes see only a door that is not yet opened, but faith recognizes that my hand is holding the key. Natural ears hear only silence, but faith understands that heaven is not silent because it is powerless. Heaven is arranging all things in wisdom. God is not a man, that he should lie, nor a son of man, that he should change his mind. Has he spoken, and will he not do it? As Numbers 23:19 says, my word is not like the word of people, promising today and changing tomorrow because of emotion, fear, or limitation. My word carries my very nature, faithful, pure, powerful, and complete. When that word leaves my mouth, it does not wander without direction. It goes with a mission, and it will accomplish what I sent it to do. There are times when I do not reveal something immediately, not because I lack mercy, but because I am causing it to come in a fuller form. If what you are waiting for came too early, it might meet an immediate need, but not yet open the depth of the mission. If the door opened while the foundation within you was still weak, you might step in with anxiety instead of peace, with impatience instead of wisdom, with clenched hands instead of an open heart. I do not only want to give you an answer, I want to prepare you to become someone who can carry that answer with maturity. He has made everything beautiful in its time. As Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "The right time is not only the moment you desire, but the moment when what I give can take root, bear fruit, and become a blessing to many, not merely a temporary relief for you alone." My beloved child, stop thinking that my silence means I have withdrawn. Skilled builders often work deep in the foundation before anyone sees the wall being raised. Underground streams may flow beneath the earth for a long time before one day rising up as a spring. So it is with me. I am aligning things you cannot see: hearts, timing, opportunities, wisdom within you, the readiness of circumstances, and even the pieces that seem scattered. When all things meet in the hour I have appointed, you will understand why I did not rush. You will see that what I bring is not lacking, distorted, or unfinished, but perfectly fitted for the present and expansive for the future. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. As Philippians 1:6 says, "I do not begin in order to abandon. I do not sow and then forget the harvest. I do not promise so that you may live in disappointment." So guard your heart from the rumors of fear. Do not let comparison make you think your portion has been transferred into someone else's hands. Do not let weariness convince you that prayer is useless. Do not let a season without visible results become a verdict over the entire journey. What I have appointed for you does not drift in the hands of chance. It does not depend on whether someone remembers you, whether someone opens a door for you, or whether someone agrees with your worth. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. As Revelation 3:7 says, "I am the keeper of the door. I am the keeper of the word. I am the one who holds you in the palm of my hand." Whatever belongs to my holy purpose for you will come at the right time, by the right path, in the right way, and when it comes, you will recognize my fingerprints on every detail. Live the remaining days of waiting in peace, not in anxious vigilance, watching to see whether the promise might disappear. My word does not need you to protect it with fear. My word needs you to respond to it with faith. Water the seed with prayer. Cover it with gratitude, and keep the soil of your heart tender through obedience. Then, when my springtime touches it, what seemed to be lying still will rise up with strength. The years you called delay will be clothed with meaning. The tears you once sowed will become rain for a new field. The promises you thought were far away will stand before you like a tree full of fruit. Trust me, my beloved child. I have not forgotten. I have not withdrawn. I have not handed your portion over to darkness or to anyone else. My word is still alive, still moving, still advancing toward the day of revelation. And when that hour comes, you will know that everything I have spoken has been kept intact within my everlasting faithfulness.